everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Just Learn Crypto Show. Today I'm here with Josh from Vaultoro. Met him on the boat cruise out in Barcelona, fell in love with his exchange. Josh, introduce yourself. Tell us about Vaultoro.
Hey Sean, yeah, it's really nice to see you again after that weird cruise in the middle of the Atlantic full of Bitcoiners. It was unreal, man. It was really fun with you and Ken and a whole bunch. Tatiana was there and a whole bunch of people. So it was really, really good.
Yeah.
So about me, I don't know. I've been in crypto for a long time, watching this space. Before Satoshi's white paper, I was running a site where women could swap clothes, and I realized that swapping isn't really a very good way of trading, because deals fall through. If you have a jacket that I really love but you don't like anything I have, then the deal falls through, and that's really unfortunate. So I was thinking, well, okay, I needed like some sort of digital money in my exchange, in the platform that people could actually use. But then I fell down the rabbit hole of, oh, hang on a minute. Then I become some central bank. How many do I issue? How does inflation work? And I thought, no, that can't be right. So I started researching about what Adam Back was doing with Hashcash and some of the e-gold stuff as well. And just researching. And the biggest problem of course, was the double spend problem. And I was working a little bit on that, but obviously I couldn't fix it because it was a 20-year-old, 40, 30-year-old computer science problem that really isn't such an easy thing to sort of solve.
So you're not, so just for everyone watching, you're not Satoshi Nakamoto.
No, I think we're all Satoshi, man. We're all Satoshi. No, but yeah, I'm not like some other Australians that just pronounce themselves as Satoshi. That's just that guy, man.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Anyway, so then basically I stopped working on the digital cash side of things and kept on working on the swap exchange. But about 4 years later in 2010, late 2010, the Satoshi white paper came across my table, and I thought, wow, man, she's done it. This is it. This is the holy grail of digital money. It's decentralized, has no issuer. The issuance is by a network or an algorithm. It's a fixed set amount. There's no inflation. This is amazing. So I fell down that rabbit hole, and I've been falling ever since. And of course, through that rabbit hole falling session over the last 9 years or whatever it's been, 8 years, I've really, I've seen a lot of scams in this space.
Yeah.
And of course, where money is, scams are. And this is something that we can't just say, oh, this is a Bitcoin problem or a cryptocurrency problem. Is that really the fact of the matter is it's a money problem. Wherever there is value, scammers are going to come and try and take that value from someone else.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so, so the last nail in that coffin was when I got scammed on Mt. Gox. And I don't know if it was like an outright scam, Mt. Gox. I think it was more that just total, this is what happens actually with every exchange that deals with fiat. In the back end, the banks freeze the account of the exchange with millions of dollars potentially in there. The exchange doesn't tell the clients. The exchange goes into a natural Ponzi, trying to cover its losses of these funds that are frozen in the bank.
Okay.
And as sometimes the bank will unfreeze the funds and the exchange will get back on its feet, and sometimes the exchange just collapses. And what we saw in Mt. Gox was plenty of that stuff, where in the back end the bank was freezing accounts. We had Mark Carpellis was sending something like a couple of mil across to America to open a branch there or something like that. And there was all this stuff in there. There was funds being frozen all around the place. And meanwhile, he'd also been hacked. Mt. Gox has also been hacked. So there was a lot of different aspects of that thing. So I wouldn't say it was an outright scam, but it was a scam in the fact that if people could not verify how much crypto there was, how liquid was this exchange.
Yeah.
And this was a big problem for me. So
Yeah, well, it must have been like, I mean, it's kind of a learning experience for the space too, right? Like other exchanges, like they're learning from the mistakes that other ones have made, right? So, how did you take that situation? Like, was that kind of the inspiration that brought you on your path with Vaultoro?
yeah, absolutely. There was a heap of things happening at that time. There was My Bitcoin or Insta Wallet. There was another one, and all these services were just disappearing with people's funds. And then Mt. Gox, of course. For me, I'd lost fun. And for me, I wasn't just angry for myself. I was pissed because I saw this as an evolution, a revolution, a peaceful revolution, which is more of an evolution in the money system.
Mm-hmm.
This corrupt system where the entire system is based on debt,
Mm-hmm.
and debt that doesn't exist. Interest that doesn't exist in the system. So I was really upset the fact that media would then portray this thing as, oh, the CEO of Bitcoin has run away with everybody's funds,
Mm-hmm.
Meaning Mark Karpellis. And he's not the CEO, he was the CEO of an exchange.
Yeah.
But at the time, the media just didn't have a clue, right? I don't know if you or some of your viewers have seen some of the early internet footage of people sitting there, what's that funny at symbol?
Yeah.
You know?
So a lot of confusion around it, man. And I've seen some videos like from when the Mt. Gox thing was going down. Like I spent so much of my time just looking at trying to find older videos to follow trends and stuff and see what was the catalyst of price jumps or price dumps in the past. How can we, avoid those in the future? So it was crazy, man.
Exactly.
Like people just freaked out. They lost millions of dollars, and it was a scary time for a lot of people, and it had a huge impact on the price. The market cap for crypto was so much smaller back then, right? So it was
so much smaller. Yeah.
So what?
I mean,
go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So I guess, so what motivated me was that loss, right? And I thought, right, how can we make an exchange that isn't going to be taken down? So my first thought was a decentralized exchange. So my brother and I sat down, tried to figure out how to build a decentralized. This was before decentralized exchanges existed at all.
Yeah.
And the problem was that the programming language or the op return code in Bitcoin, they weren't good enough to write a decentralized exchange. This has now changed as blockchain technology has moved forward.
Mm-hmm.
We have some things that are semi-decentralized. They're sort of centralized in the sense of the computational powers happening, but it's somehow decentralized. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
at the time, it wasn't available to us. So I thought, well, let's build a centralized exchange, but focus on transparency. So we built a transparency protocol that we called the Glass Books protocol, where everybody could verify how how liquid an exchange is, how much funds they have. And so, because my big thing is, let's force exchanges to show that they are equal to or above reserve, meaning whatever everyone puts in, they have.
Yeah.
Now, the problem with that aspect is traditional banking doesn't work like that.
No.
They work in the fact that they hypothecate, what's called hypothecate, where people deposit money and then they turn that $10 that's been deposited into $100 and lend $100 out with interest. So this is a problem, and we want to see exchanges in the crypto space. We really want to revolutionize banking. So let's have a full transparency protocol where if we're trusting exchanges with money, let's prove that all that money is there. Let's prove that everything's there. So so that was one thing. But the other thing was that the bank that was behind Mt. Gox also froze massive amounts of money of users when the exchange collapsed. Okay. So users lost a lot of their fiat, and people don't realize that fiat, the banks, it's kind of in their business model to freeze these accounts of exchanges, to freeze accounts of Bitcoiners in general, because it takes like 2 years to unfreeze, and in the meantime the bank can still speculate with those funds, can still use those funds, liquidity.
The beauty of a fractional reserve banking system, right?
Exactly. I mean, this is exactly spot on. And so how do you stop that? Well, the fact of the matter is many people don't realize that money, when you put money into a bank, it's not your money anymore. It's
No.
the bank's money. That's why they give you interest. You're giving it to them. It's their property now.
Hmm.
With So I thought, okay, let's build an exchange that's based on physical gold, because gold can be absolutely legally owned to the person, and you can put it in a vault, and that vault is just looking after it. They can't speculate with it, they can't hypothecate it, they can't do anything because it's
Just,
not their
yeah,
property.
it's just custodial, right? So,
It's just custodial. And the cool thing with that is it's off of the exchange's books, it's off of our books. So if anything ever happens to us, liquidators can't touch our clients' assets. And this is a really important part of people that know what's going on, people that understand money, that they don't just jump into Bitcoin with, oh, mad gains and Lambos. They actually think, right, hang on a minute. Yeah, yeah. Uh, you know, I mean, the Lambo stuff's fun and all that, but really, the people that understand what's happening in crypto understand that what is actually happening is there's a revolution in the entire banking system happening,
yeah.
in the entire concept of money. So and it's funny because I hear people like Peter Schiff, fighting against crypto. I hear people in crypto fighting against gold,
Hmm.
and I think, why?
Yeah.
They work so well together because you can trade into something that's physical, that's very liquid. The gold is the second most liquid market in the world under the FX market.
Hmm.
So it's very, very liquid. And then you can jump back out into crypto when you need to move that money. And we're also looking to tokenize next year the gold, so that
Awesome.
people can actually program gold.
Well,
Yeah.
there you go. That's exciting, man. I mean, you're really solving a problem with the Vaultoro exchange. I love the concept of being able to go from gold to Bitcoin as opposed to, all these people that tether their cryptocurrency, and Tether apparently is proving that they're a custodial of the amount of money that they have in Tether. But I mean, it's completely speculative. I think a lot of people like me really don't believe they have the money to back up all the tethers that they're printing out. So, and I mean, it takes down the volatility, right? I mean, exchanges are an attack point for hackers. They're a point in this whole network that's a weak point that a lot of phishing and a lot of attempts at hacking can happen on exchanges. So, I mean, God forbid an exchange gets hacked and you're holding all of your money in Tether to avoid that volatility. Well, you could be losing all of your money, all of your cryptocurrency. But if you're on Vaultoro and you're holding it in a gold asset, and the exchange side of things gets hacked, you still own that gold, right? So that's a pretty big deal. Can people actually get the gold and get it shipped to them, like anywhere in the world? How does that work?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we use one of the largest vaulting facilities in the world, ProAurum. They're in Switzerland. They're fully insured as well and fully audited by one of the largest auditing firms in the world. And if they want to get it delivered, of course they can get it delivered. We weren't set up for physical delivery. We do it because it's people's assets. We have to enable them to get it out. But we were set up to basically buy it, hold it, and then sell it back. These are good delivery bars. These are bars that never really see the sun, apart from auditors coming in there and counting that stuff. But the fact of the matter is, last resort, you can get it delivered. You can go pick it up as well.
Oh, cool. And
But
it's where's the vault again?
it's in Zurich.
Zurich. Okay, nice.
Yeah, so it's
Okay.
in a tax-free zone as well. So all the gold and silver that's in the vaulting facility has no tax. So it's pretty good as money then, as currency, because you don't want usually in Europe when you're buying an asset or buying something physical, there's VAT involved, and this sort of distorts it as a use of money.
Okay.
You want money to be able to jump in and out of these assets without these different taxes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's when it gets really complicated in countries that don't really have their regulations set up, or even. I mean, I saw an article. I didn't read through it too much, but it was basically the title was a student put $5,000 into trading, ended up with $800,000, and then had to pay $400,000 in taxes. So
Unbelievable.
yeah, I mean,
Unbelievable.
I can't speculate as to whether or not that's real news or fake news, but I mean, it's definitely possible. I mean, the taxes, if you're not recording things properly and you make huge gains on some, I mean, the only thing I found fishy was like there's not many people making huge gains in crypto right now, you know?
Exactly. And this is an interesting point. How much can you go to the government with your losses and claim them as losses on your money? How many people? And it was funny when the IRS went after Coinbase, they went after the exact bear market years after the Mt. Gox collapse.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of people could have claimed fat losses during that time. I'm not sure how many did.
Yeah, I don't know. I never saw any numbers come out about that. Listen, tell me one of the coolest things you've ever spent cryptocurrency on. Like you must use it now and there, Bitcoin as an actual currency.
Yeah, I mean, I've used it my whole, like, for the last, I don't know, 5 years. You know, before that, you could only really get alpaca socks, and you could use swap style as well. You could put, once I found Bitcoin on the swap site that I'd built, I'd also incorporated crypto back then. But yeah, one of the coolest things, wow. Uh, Supporting, yeah, so actually, one of the coolest things that really woke me up to how powerful this technology is, that I don't know how if I should actually say this, but screw it. Is that there was this kid in Iran who was making music. He'd made this amazing album, and I'd somehow stumbled across his album, and I wanted to buy the album because he'd given us snippets of the songs. This is such cool music. So I tried to. I said, "How can I buy an album?" He's like, "Oh, sorry, you know, we can't because PayPal, you know, everything's been sanctioned. So Visa, I couldn't get Mastercard, I couldn't pay him with credit card, I couldn't pay him with PayPal." And I said, "Hey, how about Bitcoin?" He was like, "What's that?" And then he looked into it and said, "Yeah, cool." And this was about, I don't know, 6 years ago. And I sent him Bitcoin. It was there instantly. He sent me the album, and I thought, this really woke me up to
Yeah.
how, I mean, I'd already understood theoretically how it frees people from these ridiculous things that governments put in place.
These
I mean,
borders of
this
entry,
some
man.
kid, yeah, this guy's got no political affiliation. He's just a kid in his mum's basement making cool music, you know. And it really showed me, like, hey, we the people can take money back to being a true free market thing instead of some controlled mechanism to control everybody.
Yeah, exactly, man. I mean, it's really money for the people. That's what it is. And I mean, I live in Canada. We're spoiled here. There's a bank on every street. Like anyone can have a
Yeah.
bank account. They shove credit cards down our throats at ridiculous interest rates. But there's 2 billion people in the world that don't even have a bank. Most don't even have identity. And these are all problems that cryptocurrency and blockchain can solve through, you know, creating an ecosystem of value and a means of exchange from person to person. It's a really big deal. And I mean, even being able to put digital identity on the blockchain, like there's so many problems in the world right now that this industry is going to solve over the next 10, 20 years. It's exciting. Hey, have you ever followed up with that kid? I mean, 6 years ago, you must, I mean, for you to buy an album off him, that must have been a good chunk of Bitcoin.
Man, I know. You know, the thing is, I can't even remember how I found the kid, or found the music or anything. I've tried to find him again. It's been, yeah, I don't know how, because Bitcoin was, I just got an address and I just sent it to him. You know, it was such an old wallet. It was back when Bitcoin was still in Bitcoin QT. It was the old, like, core client. And yeah, I'm not sure, man.
Imagine this guy just like held on to it all this time and like
I know.
who knows,
I
man?
think it
Maybe
was
he's
like
changed his
5
life.
Bitcoin at the time or something like that.
Oh man, you could have changed this kid's whole life, man. Maybe his mom's living in his basement now.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, but you know, these sorts of stories, they're really important to bring it back to these sorts of stories, and we're seeing more of these sorts of stories coming out, not from the sanction side, but in terms of governments, especially places like Venezuela and stuff. I know Venezuela always gets trumped out as some big, as the use case, but it really is. Our CMO, our chief marketing guy at Vaultoro, he's Venezuelan, and some of the stories he comes out with is really shocking, to say the least. Yeah.
Well, I mean, when the country gets to a point that they're not counting money anymore, they're weighing it. Yeah, it's there's a problem. It's there's a problem.
I know. Yeah, let me weigh that for you.
Yeah.
I know.
That'll be 7 pounds of useless paper for your cup of coffee. Like, come on, man.
Man, I've seen kids, climbing like piles, like huge pile of leaves, just money.
Yeah, it's not even worth more than the toilet paper they're buying with it, which is absolutely ludicrous.
It's nuts, isn't it? Yeah. So and the funny thing is, gold has always played this part, right? It's always played the inflation card, where look, the average lifespan of a paper currency is only 27 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the US dollars lasted more. It came off the gold standard in 1971 or 73 or something. But and the UK did as well, somewhere around there. The thing is, now globally, we haven't got a gold standard. So we're going to start seeing some of these pure paper fiat currencies start to collapse. And we're seeing it already. Turkey's the lira is starting to collapse. We're seeing more and more inflation. I mean, the last time I was in the States, which is just like yesterday, actually, I'm still jet lagged.
Apparently, yeah.
But we just landed in London today. But I really noticed the inflation.
Yeah,
it was massive. And before that, I was in Australia. I hadn't been back to Australia for 5 years. Also, huge inflation. I mean, I used to buy a steak for about $20 in Australia, and now you get what's called a smashed avocado, just avocado, which is just mushed onto some like sourdough bread.
Okay.
$20.
Wow.
18 or something like that. And I was just like, man, what's going? This is just avocado on some toast, man. What the hell? This isn't some grain-fed beef that's been, reared from a calf by some farmer that's taken, a lot of resources.
No, this is something plucked from a tree, or avocados in trees? I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Avocado, and then just smashed up and put onto a sourdough bread. I mean, insane. And so that's just one example, but rents, property prices, everything's going up.
We're in a bubble.
We're in a huge bubble. And I don't know, if your listeners, go and have a look at the NASDAQ chart and zoom right out as far as you can. And you see the 2008, the 2001 bubble, you see 2008, and you'll see now, it's way higher. It looks like a Bitcoin hockey stick.
Yeah.
It's just cruising up, and it just looks like it's about to pop. When that thing pops, I think we're going to have some major problems, because when America sneezes, the whole world catches a cold.
Yep.
And I really ask people to have some assets in property, in physical things. Property, stuff that doesn't devalue, like computers or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Funnily enough, the Venezuela bolivars is losing value so fast that people buy computers to store value. I mean, computers lose so much value; it's incredible. So if they're holding their money in computers, it just shows how terrible it is. But I think people out there really need to buy either some property, some gold, some Bitcoin, some crypto.
So people can buy gold right on Vaultoro anywhere in the world. Like, what's the KYC process for someone like me here in Canada, or say someone in the States? Say I want to own some gold. Walk me through that process with Vaultoro quickly.
Yeah, so when we launched, we didn't actually need KYC for up to $5,000 a day, because you're just buying a physical good. It's like if you walk and buy a television, you don't need to, show all your IDs and everything like that. You don't need to do KYC. But what happened in last year, when this massive spike happened, we were buying. The demand through Vaultoro was so massive that, and we're using one of the largest vaulting facilities and gold suppliers in Europe, they were saying, look, you guys are buying, there's so much that your clients have right now and a lot of the clients, the gold is allocated.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a very important legal distinction. It's allocated gold. It's off of our books. It's in your legal name as your legal property. So that means that we had people, the gold allocated to their email addresses.
Okay.
For people that were just buying smaller amounts, or up to 5,000 a day. So we decided, so the vaulting facility said, look, we need to get the actual names to who this is allocated to. This wasn't for some legal thing that the government came in and forced us to do that. It was basically purely for the allocation process, especially when someone dies and their assets are sitting there, their estate's management is going to have to prove that that email belongs to the deceased, and it all gets very complicated. Yeah. So it's much better that people just have to upload an ID, like a passport or a driver's license, and a phone bill or something that's been sent to their address to prove that that's where they live.
Okay.
And that way, it also makes it easy if they lose their two-factor. We've had people lose their two-factor and they have no way of proving who they are, that their account hasn't been hacked, and where they're, letting some hacker in. So we just say you're not allowed. So with that ID, that allows them to verify who they are.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Yeah, but it's pretty basic.
Yeah. So it's just standard KYC process.
Yeah.
Sweet, man. Where can people follow you guys on social media?
The main one is Twitter.
Okay.
Which is at Vaultoro. That's Vault, like a gold vault, Vault, and Oro, which is Spanish for gold.
Okay.
Vaultoro. And Vaultoro. And the funny thing is, people are like, "How did you come up with that name?" Well, because some people love it, and some people hate it. It's really hard to spell. But the fact of the matter is, these days, it's all about trying to find that URL, that exists.
that's available. Yeah. Yeah.
So Twitter's a good one, but we've also got a Discord. If you jump on Twitter and ask me, I can send you a Discord invite. And we're just about to launch Vaultoro 2.0. So for the last 4 years, we've just been Bitcoin and physical gold.
Okay.
As a trading pair, but next in February we're launching a whole bunch of different cryptos. Dash will be the first one. The Dash DAO paid us that basically supported us and invested in us to help us build Vaultoro 2.0. So we will have that up next, and then we will have a bunch of different crypto to crypto pairs as well. So that'll be exciting.
Awesome. Yeah, your Twitter page looks nice. There we go. Sweet, man. So a lot of cool stuff coming up. Looks like your roadmap's pretty full, and hopefully, luckily you guys have a great following, and you guys have a lot of people on your platform, and we're going to be coming into another bull run, whether that's in 3 weeks, 3 months, or over the next 12 to 18 months. No one really knows. That's awesome, man. So anyone watching, follow Vaultoro. Make sure you get on there, get some gold, hodl your godl. It's a lot safer. It's a lot safer to be holding your value right now in gold as opposed to holding it consistently on an exchange. It's always bad practice to be storing your crypto on an exchange. That should never be happening if you can avoid it. You're not in control of your private keys when you're holding it on an exchange. But
absolutely,
to be able to have an account on an exchange like Vaultoro and easily go from gold back to Bitcoin, trade on the Bitcoin market, pretty revolutionary stuff, guys. So Josh, thanks for coming on the show, man. I really appreciate you chatting, and hopefully I'll get to bump into you at another conference. Maybe we can get you up to Canada one of these days.
Absolutely, sure, man. I really look forward to coming up to Canada and seeing you guys. I've heard you guys put on amazing events. So some of the events that I've been to have been shocking, and people keep saying, "Hey, check out Sean's event." The last one was pretty cool. So
awesome.
I have to.
Yeah, we've got one coming up on December 15th. It's called Satoshi's Ball, and it's an all-night party from 7 to 9. We've got some amazing networking. We've got some of the top Canadian blockchain companies coming out to set up a booth and mingle with the guests. And then from 9 to 3 in the morning, we have 3 DJs coming in. So man, we really like to do like non-conferences, make them different than the other ones, So once again, man, dude, thank you so much for being on the show, guys. Follow Vaultoro on Twitter, hop on their Discord group, and have a great day, guys.